iPhone 11 production ramped up by 10%. It seems Apple's new iPhone lineup is enjoying higher than expected demand. Well, this is, of course, coming via GSM Arena. Higher than expected, or was Apple conservative with the original order? We, of course, don't know as outsiders looking in, but it obviously is a better sign than slowing down the supply chain, as we have heard with previous releases where Apple maybe overestimated the initial run. That appears to not be the case for the iPhone 11. They're looking for increased production capacity of an estimated 10%. This is coming via Japanese financial outlet, the Nikkei. That amounts to 7 to 8 million units expected, with the majority being the standard iPhone 11. So sucking some of the production facility from the Pro Max or Pro, which, you know, they're the pricey ones. Mm-hmm. So you have to assume the volume there, not to the same degree. So most of the focus here going to the standard iPhone 11. And I think that makes sense. And I think that builds on what I was talking about previously, where we're in a marketplace now where I feel like the real considerations are happening mostly around cost instead of features. Mm-hmm. That the cost is the new feature. People are very price sensitive. And there's so many options now that you can really do cost shopping. And I think Apple made a good decision to launch that iPhone 11 standard model at a lower price than last year's 10R. And I think they're obviously reaping some of the rewards having done so. And also, of course, the other thing worth mentioning is the U.S. government postponed that 10% tariff, which may have contributed to the higher demand because, of course, it keeps the cost down as an overall type of thing. The other potential component in this improvement in iPhone sales, or at least positive figures in iPhone 11 sales, this increase in production, is potentially how well iPhone 11 is doing in India. So apparently there were lineups, actual physical Apple lineups, people waiting in India. I don't know if you can find any photos to purchase the iPhone 11 in person, as well as the most popular e-commerce places in India. You have Flipkart, you have Amazon as well there, running out of stock in record time on the iPhone 11. Now, as you know, we've covered the Indian market extensively, traveled there. I'm very curious about it. I find, at least for me, it acts as this indicator from a smartphone competition perspective as to what's going on the forefront. It's kind of for me at least, it's what do they call that? It's the front line. Mm. I feel like India is the front line of the smartphone wars as they are. I mean, I don't want to refer to it as wars. It's competition. It's a beautiful thing. But I feel like there's a lot we can extract over here from what's happening in India as far as adoption's concerned, platforms are concerned, Android, iPhone, and so forth. Now, that's one of those markets where Apple has not gotten a lot of traction in the past because of that cost prohibitiveness of their various devices. The iPhone 11 is still expensive in India. When converted, it's around $920. It's more money there still than here, presumably because that model's not made there and there's the duties associated and all the other government stuff. But still, it's still substantially cheaper than last year's iPhone XR, which was $170 more than that in the local market, and still way less than, say, for example, the iPhone 10 or 10s, or any of those series leading up to this one. The other thing I feel like is I feel like iPhone 11 is way better branding than iPhone 10R.
Right.
Like the 10R thing, it kind of felt like. Now, obviously, this isn't what they meant by it. People speculated on what the R letter meant, but for me, it's like refurbished.
Right.
For me, it's like recovery, repair. Recycled.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying words that start with R right now that might not be perceived as positive. But point I'm trying to make, you put the letter on the end, and it's not an S, which is what the other models got, and it just feels inferior. Mm-hmm. As opposed to what you do with the iPhone 11 marketing, you go, okay, there's a Pro model, Fine, it's Pro. It's extra. You don't need it. It's extra. And the main attraction, the iPhone 11. That's just a nice title.
So they're done with the R, you think?
I don't know. I would be if I was them.
Yeah.
I would be if I was them. I think that's some weird branding situation, and I don't know. Look, I think people want to feel like they're a part of the same club. I think people want to feel like they're not getting a subpar product. They want to feel like they're in the game. And I think the 11 branding and then the 11 Pro as the extra does a better job of making the case that it's the same product and that some people can choose to pay for extra, as opposed to the other way around where you have the budget model and everyone knows it's the budget model. Anyhow, it's just speculate. I'm just a guy.
Yes.
I'm just a man.
You are.
I'm living I'm on planet Earth. 34 years. I've done it. It's 2019. We made it, Willie Do. What a time to be alive. It's been a minute since I said that. That's what the kids say. It's been a minute. Not a second, not an hour, a minute.
Oh,
to be clear. Yeah, it's important that you know that. You got to stay up on that. Okay. So anyway, this one is selling better than the 10R did. It's coming in at that more attractive price point, still expensive. I think Apple can still go lower in India and still do better, but nonetheless, initial feedback on this, not just in India, but in general, as far as that increase in production on the 11, seems to me to indicate that the iPhone 11 is the one getting the attention in global markets and none of this fancy Pro stuff. I can't say I'm surprised. I can't. When I was watching the event, I was like, well, which one do you recommend to most people in most situations? And sure, you can get a bigger battery. Sure, you can get a extra camera. There's all, that stuff exists out there. Obviously, OLED for me. But you have to realize it's a wide variety of customers out there on planet Earth. And cost sensitivity is something that really matters. It really colors an individual's choice. And we're figuring that out more and more as this thing progresses and as we're seeing what works and doesn't work or works better or not so much.
The name matters.
I think the name really matters. So that's the avenue.
Just to sum it up.
That's the avenue I went down.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
You're with me on that.
Yeah.
iPhone 11, how good does that sound? I think iPhone 11 sounds better, like a product that sounds cleaner and better for me than 11 Pro Max.
Yeah.
It feels...
it's a mouthful.
It just feels gratuitous. See, I had to go find gratuitous in there.
No.
It was in there, though.
Yeah.
Just waiting for me to grab it. Anyhow, nonetheless, I'm still using the Pro non-Max. And the battery life, it's holding up. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Anyhow, going from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, how about the Samsung Galaxy Fold, which doesn't care about pricing at all? It's like, this is the future. You shall pay for the future. You want to enter this party? We got a cover charge, ladies and gentlemen. When's the last time you paid a cover charge? Well, I haven't done that in a while.
Oh, man. It's been...
Maybe for a UFC event or something. $20 or I don't know. Is it $20 for some bars and things for UFC event? $20?
I think the one in Mississauga is around 10.
10, okay. 10's a little more reasonable.
Yeah.
Just to see a fight, but...
It's like a big bodyguard there just hanging out.
Takes your ID.
Yeah.
Looks you up and down.
$10, man. I was like...
Does he pat you down?
No.
Were you hoping he would?